Sige qwaqa nakla nagot at silas abukwa kasi kelak kantuak wisa tuam skam tike khas khagas is goatantens
we recycle what we use, separate things and you should too. Glass and paper, plastic, tin, go in your recycling bin. We must start now, we can't wait. Quick or it will be too late.
In 2010 and 2011, the communities of Bella Bella and Ahousaht on the west coast of British Columbia began the process of closing their landfills and transferring all waste products out of their communities. Within less than 2 years of landfill closure, both communities, with help from Aboriginal Affairs and Northern Development Canada, have established waste transfer stations, community-wide recycling, and have begun community composting.
My name is Emily Chu, and I'm a community planner. In 2005, I began working with First Nations communities. There were about 16 communities along the coast who had participated in a study because they all shared a similar problem and a similar challenge. And the problem was that their communities were filling up. They had little landfills in the communities, but they had now filled up. And the alternative, which was open burning, was not healthy, and so everyone was seeking a solution. So Bella Bella was the first community that started it. Ahousaht was not far behind because Ahousaht is the fastest growing community on the Tofino coast.
I'm Dan Harrison with the Raincoast Education Society. Island life is such that your home is noticeably finite, so the more you bring onto your island, the more things you involve in your life, the more complicated and the more you have to deal with. It's a great lesson for our planet in general because we all live on an island. This is a great opportunity for our island communities to teach the rest of the world.
My name is Josh Carpenter, and I'm the Municipal Services Manager for the Celtic Tribal Council. I have always thought that it was important to take care of the environment. As soon as we stopped incineration, the health of the community improved immediately. It was a really heavy burden on many of our elder and youngest community members, so that was immediately a great benefit.
My name is Sharon Wilson. I'm from Bella Bella, and I started learning more about recycling while living in the city. I said, how can we do cultural tourism when our community, the grounds, are a mess? So I started researching that summer, and I just started in my kindergarten class first, and then we just slowly started putting competitions out for beverage containers out to all the other classes. We're in it to continue to teach the students that it's important to look after the environment.
We've been working up in Ahousaht for over a decade now, and we were asked to be involved as one of the main leaders in education around recycling and composting. Recycling education isn't just what goes in a blue bin or a red bin. It's about coming face to face with your waste stream and reevaluating your impact on the earth. Our education programs have always focused on inspiring local youth to become the leaders and become the experts, and to take that message and to take it into the community, and that's been the success of this project.
Yeah, John Bird. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for Sunbird Refuse and Recycling. Originally, I guess we did a contract bid for a pits at work, and in due course, the house came on stream, and they were looking at having transfer of their waste out of their community. And next thing, we were invited to a committee meeting, and that committee meeting consisted of most of the people that are still there now and got involved. And that group just started from day one, was working so well together. We stayed together through the course of the whole project, and I would say that the project's speed and success is due to the fact that all those players were in the room.
First shovel in the ground was probably 2.5 years ago, and it started with our free store. That was a warehouse for construction materials. We took that over and started accepting material from the community for free: books, dishes, games, videotapes, small electronics, clothing, and we take it all for free and we give it out for free.
My name is Pam Frank. I'm the administrator for Ahousaht First Nation. I've been working for the organization for the last 18 years, and in the last 8 years as the administrator. And I've been involved with all capital projects, and more specifically with the solid waste transfer station project, and that's been one of my priorities to be involved. It was an eyesore in our community because we had an open landfill, and because of that we were unable to burn any of the debris because we have had a lot of medical issues that we had to deal with, respiratory issues, asthma and that, so we were told we couldn't burn anymore. Department of Indian Affairs had suggested opening a second landfill further out on the island. However, we said no, and Chief and Council had stated that we want to transport our debris out. So 3 years ago we did an assessment on that, and it just bloomed from there. We got into a recycling program which helped to alleviate how much debris was actually going to be transported out and put into a landfill. So there was a lot of training and education for our workers, and education to our community members, our schools, our businesses, organizations. So we now have everybody on board with a recycling program. This year we've introduced a compost pilot program, and it's that will help to eliminate a lot more debris that's transported to the landfill.
I'm Russell Frank. I'm the manager of the Ahousaht transfer station. Well, I manage the transfer station with our waste disposal, the recycle department, and everything that happens in this transfer station. We take just about everything and anything, which is everything but construction material. We can't really handle right now. I've been here for 27 years now, and the landfill we had was a real eyesore, which is good to have. We have it now capped, and now things are looking a lot cleaner and tidier with this transfer station we have. We're hoping, I don't know if it'll happen now or later, to get zero waste on the island, as we do a lot of our own pretty much recycle. What comes in has to go back out, right? So we're working into trying to transfer our solid waste back out, and it gets barged out once a month.
At the moment we can recycle cardboard, as you see, beverage containers, small electronics, waste paper from offices, plastics, but we're in the process of developing much more. We want to be able to recycle anything that the consumer product stewards will take back. When we first started this project, we gave ourselves a goal of a zero waste community by 2014. That's a very high standard to reach for, but we felt it was important to have that goal so that we could really push ourselves.
My name is Dave Whitehead. I'm a gardener, and I've always gardened for growing vegetables or for ornamental plants and things like that. I realized I need to have a way to make soil if I'm going to grow anything up here. There's no natural soil, very little natural soil. So coming to Bella Bella was new to my wife and I. Neither of us have ever been here. We lived on the West Coast for a long time. And so it was natural for me to explore what I could do in terms of growing stuff up here. All the produce is imported. Nothing is grown locally. If we had been building soil up here for the last 50 years, we'd have a good stockpile of soil right now. And the conditions up here in terms of weather aren't that extreme. It gets a little bit cold in the winter. We get a little bit of rain, but those things can be sort of, you can deal with those. You can provide some cover, you can do some things to get around those issues, but lack of soil, there's not much you can do. So yeah, I just think, wow, if this had been in place 20, 30, 40 years ago, we'd be going a going concern now. But you know, the best time to do something is in the past. Well, the next best time is to do it right now.
I'm Joe James Rampanen, my name is Growina. I live in Moctezes, Ahousaht. We are part of the community compost pilot project. We want to implement composting out of every household in the village here and just encourage the community to participate, each household, in separating their waste to go towards composting. We had started this last year in the spring of 2012 community gardening, and it just kind of came naturally that composting would go hand in hand with gardening. And given that, you know, that we're shipping our waste out of the village here because we're on an island, so we thought if we start composting, that's going to reduce our waste going out of the village. I feel that it's really important that as a community member that we take on the responsibilities and roles of how our community runs. This is our home, this is our community, this is our village. Our waste isn't just a hole in the ground that gets filled up, that we have a responsibility. All of this eventually works into us becoming self-determined. I would like to see the community garden running. I would like to see it at a stage where we're producing enough that we possibly can to provide for the village.
That's my goal, is to address the issue of compostable material going off in the local garbage and not being separated up, being put away with all the other household garbage and being lost, being shipped off island and costing us money to ship it off island, and also not benefiting the community in any way. So if we could compost everything in the community that's compostable, I mean, they estimate that households' garbage, up to 40-50% of that is compostable materials. So if we can reduce our garbage leaving the area by that amount, plus pulling all the recycled material out too, that's over and above that, then there's a huge saving to the community in the cost of moving materials away from the island that could be kept here and for the benefit.
I think that because we live in a modern world, now we have to deal with all these items that have been produced somewhere else, and they don't necessarily work accumulating here.
When you're separating out and barging your materials off an island, you can very quickly take stock of where you need to improve your practices, and so islands can really teach us a lot about our weaknesses and our strengths and how we can quickly adapt.
Well, the people that participate in my program, and I've got a half a dozen or so households and a few businesses that contribute their compost to me, they're super happy to do it. I mean, part of the reason that I wanted to run it on a really small scale like this, just to see if it worked. Well, one thing was to see, does it work? Does it actually, the compost work? And it does. But then, how easy can I make it for people? And because people will do, if it's easy, they'll do whatever easy. If it's easy to throw it in the garbage, they will throw it in the garbage. But if I make it really easy for them to separate their compost at source, it turns out they're really happy to do it. So most people at their sink have a little container where they put their peelings and their orange peels and their potato peelings and all the material that can go into the compost. They move it from there to the bucket that's located outside their door. It's a 5-gallon bucket with a nice lid. Super easy to do. I pick it up once a week and provide them with a clean bucket, so they don't usually even know.
Just create more responsibility of our role in what we're producing as in waste in the village and our households.
For this project, it helps our membership, our leadership, and of course our administration to realize how much more we can make improvement in our community and how we can actually be more aware of what we're actually bringing into the community, whether it's anywhere from groceries to vehicles, you name it, that it is all recyclable, and that it's just a matter of how do we go about making it all happen. House It is a community that takes pride in who they are and what they do and what they can offer the outside world.
My name is Marceline Jack. I'm from House It, British Columbia. And I help collect garbage and the recycle for our band. I started off with volunteering first. I actually got hired for the heavy equipment operator, and there wasn't too much work of that, so I started volunteering with my uncle and became a full-time job. My goals is to open our first free store up here in the House It, where we can reuse all items that are reusable, you know, couches or dishes that aren't broken, etc. Just start recycling. It's less garbage for our landfills, and we're thinking about not only our children but our grandchildren and our future great-grandchildren and whatnot. It's actually really good stuff. Really good stuff. I got a lot of compliments from a lot of family and friends that are out there that notice that their garbage is not as full as it usually is. They used to have 2, maybe even 3 bags sometimes, and they're down to a quarter of a bag now, ever since they all start recycling.
Some of the advice I have for other communities is to have all your primary people involved who are actually working in the current positions, your managers, your leadership, chief and council, community members, invite resources to participate, because that's where you're going to get the expertise. And once you have all that training, the education in that, the negotiations with the funding source, and it's almost anything is possible.
It was slow at first, of course, you know, and people kept trying to say, well, someone else tried it before, and I was like, yeah, okay, well, I'll just keep going.
There are very few projects you can be a part of that have no downsides. There's really only benefits to this. Health benefits, community benefits, and people taking pride in their home.
If we want to claim ownership of the title stewards of the land, we have to live that.
At the end of the day, when you're talking about tying in remote communities, you're talking about goodwill. And that's the wonderful thing, is that we have found no shortage of goodwill. I think the takeaway is just find a way to tap into that goodwill, and you can begin anywhere. You just have to make the links to the people who help you solve the problem. People have the vision. You find out eventually that everybody shares the same vision, and if that goodwill is, really used well, you can get good results.
It's really important that everybody work together. The goal is worth it. Having a clean community is worth any cost you can think of.